So within our customizations, we need to add a couple of new items. We need to add a field or two, and then we also need to add a couple of new forms. So first thing, what I need to be able to do is when the user is uploading their image, we're basically going to take that photograph and we're going to use a flow to move it through a couple of steps and then basically get a URL that is an accessible URL to the outside world. In other words, it's not just a URL for something that's stored locally or stored in SharePoint. It's something that other people can see and access. We're going to take that URL using the flow and put it into a field on the contacts record. So we have to have a field to be able to do that. So I've basically got a field that is called image URL that is going to be, excuse me, it has to be a single line of text, and when we save that, we're going to save it as a URL field. Okay, so we're going to set it up, image URL, single line of text, field type simple, format URL. So make sure that you have that field there. Now if I go to forms, and we'll just sort this by the form name. Scroll down a bit and I've got a profile web form notes. Now, if I go back to this example where we've got Ryan, we can see there, we'll be able to see the history of the images that he's uploaded. So that's basically using a timeline on a form for this specific contact. So this form that I've created, it's only one thing that I'm going to display on that form, and that is a timeline. So I need to add the timeline onto it. If I just go ahead and open it and look at some of the settings, I'm basically saying only show the notes, and the settings I can sort, descending, ascending, number of results, and so on. Then if I go to the web client properties, I'm going to select the tab to be visible when the form opens. The default is going to be notes. So that's all I'm doing, and I'm going to make sure that it is in a tab of its own. So it doesn't matter, there are going to be other things on your form because there are certain things that are required on every form. That's fine, leave them on there, but create a new tab and just put the timeline on there, and that's it. That's all you need on there. Now if we go back to our solution, and I'll scroll down. Now the other form that I need to do is one for portal comment. So if I go to the portal comment entity and go to forms, I've got portal comment image. Now when somebody is uploading the image, what we're doing is we're having them create a portal comment. Purely using that rather than having them create a note, because what we can do is when we have them create the portal comment, we can set a subject and then use the subject that will always be the same as our trigger for our Microsoft flow. If we do that just using notes, you don't have a way to really trigger the flow and say if the subject of the note equals this, because it's going to be different every time because it will have things appended to it, the contact's name, time, date, stamps, that sort of thing. So we've got to use a portal comment because what we can do, which we'll look at in a moment, is we can say when a portal comment is created, set the subject to be X. Now this one is interesting. It's actually, we're not going to display anything on the portal comment form itself, but we have to have certain things that are required. See the padlock, I cannot remove those from the form, and we need a form to be able to allow someone to actually upload the photograph to. So what we're going to do is I've kept the minimum amount of things on here, but on the subject and the image notes field, what I'm doing is I'm basically unticking that says visible by default. So that will not be displayed to the portal user at all. So that's what we're doing on there. It's basically going to be essentially an empty form that doesn't have anything on it at this point. So those are going to be the forms that you need to have created, first of all, before you can move on to the next step.